This video is actually my feed day one. This video was in my feed day one, like the day he posted it. I actually wanted to react to it immediately, but I like letting videos sit a little bit. You would be surprised considering how much I talk about like how to improve and like all that shit and strategy and stuff. Actually, personally, one of the saddest things I find going to stuff, right? Like I just went to MagFest, for example, right? So not a tournament. I went to like a convention. And one of the saddest things to me is when I play somebody in a game at a convention and they say like they're gonna waste my time because they're so bad, or they're like, I'm never good at these games, I just don't get them, I can never be good at that. They sound so sad about it too, and it really gets me down. Not only is like bad vibes, I can only imagine like what they've been through to feel that way. I feel like it's like sad. And I'm like, dude, especially I think in the streaming esports age that we're in, some people forget this message. So I kind of want to see what Sejam, where it started, like why
I thought this was so fascinating. I think a lot of you will appreciate this because I have a lot of hobbies that I'm very invested in and very sweaty in, and some things where I'm a little bit more laid back, a little bit more casual.
10 seconds in already. So I'm a person, you know, if one of my good friends is watching this and one of my close friends are watching this, I actually put basically like the vast majority of my effort into like only a couple things at the cost of not having I basically don't have casual hobbies. I've been that way my whole life. And if it wasn't for like internet stuff, I probably would be a lot more obnoxious, because I would have met as many people, right? Probably be a lot more obnoxious about stuff like this, because a standard person you run into the street, they have like one or two things they really care about, and then like 7 to 10 things they care about, but not so much that they put time into it all the time. They'll just like go in and out, in and out, in and out. I think that's what most people do, where I have like 2 or 3 things I put like all my time into. I think what he's saying is like what most people are like, at least from my experience.
I think this tweet thread was very interesting to me, which was the toxic thing video games instilled in my mind is that being in the top 1% of something is that you're
the toxic thing that my family instilled in my mind. Ha ha ha. Anyone else? Any other viewers? Ha ha ha.
Top 1%. You rank up in Marvel Rivals. If that shit doesn't say top 99.7 percentile of players, like you're trash.
The funniest thing is like there's Guilty Gear Elo right now, right? I don't really care what my Elo is, you know? I don't really care what my Elo is. Like all the value, you know, we talk about validation and shit, and I say a lot that you really don't want external validation, right? You really want to be motivated by internal things. That being said, that doesn't mean that external things can't be used as like a checkpoint or like a progress check. Yeah, progress check's probably better. And especially if like how, because you know in Guilty Gear the elo changes every game. I'm like I get asked to why I don't enter online tournaments. I'm like, I just think it's not that important to me. When I look back at my year, I look at like the big events I go to and how I do. Basically I just try to go on for a certain amount of time, try to kind of have a goal to aim for, and like that's it. But again, I'm also like a rare person, right? I've been competing for a long time, so like when you're right next to that goal, I'm not like, I'm only kind of freaking out. I mean, truthfully though, I get nervous at locals, so what am I saying? What am I saying?
The non-toxic and actually positive takeaway is that it takes very little time investment to get okay at something and a lifetime to master almost anything. You can realistically be in top 10% of any skill you want in a few months of actual practice.
True.
I don't think I've ever played a game or like a thing where like if I didn't sweat in it for 2 months or something, or 3 months, that I couldn't be top 10% of it. As like a competitive person who's learned a lot of other competitive things in my life.
Vanquisher top 4% online.
And I think it's because if we peel back a layer, it's okay to be okay. Most people are not sweating. They're playing for fun. Not worried too much about improvement.
Yikes, what a quote. The ability to play chess is a sign of a gentleman. The ability to play chess well is a sign of a waste of life. Is this guy good? Wait, any chess heads? He is so true. Morphe's crazy good, best for his time. Damn, this is an insane quote then, huh?
They're just enjoying the game, and that is perfectly normal and fine. If you tried hard, you're already part of a very small percentile of people, and if you tried really hard and focused for a lot of time, you could probably get there, right? That's sort of the point that I think is trying to be extrapolated. This right here, right? This is from last February.
Everything looks like this, by the way. So we have this line 2 in GG, basically the same thing, except it doesn't show people in placements, and it has the numbers here too. So for reference, I'm doing all characters of Vanquisher. I'm basically interacting with the top 20-ish% of the game online. 4, 6, what is it, 8% of players. I'm playing here, and it's around like the top 20-ish%, 15, 20-ish%.
If you had a coach for like 2 weeks and you locked in and played.
If you paid LK to be your coach for like 2, okay. What he's saying about experience is true too, because like if you're talking about coaching, you are not the average person. You are not a normal person if you're actively thinking about, because remember, coaching is like the last level of like review. You do self-review. Thing number 2 is you would ask a friend if they're better at the matchup than you. Thing number 3 is you ask somebody who plays the character. And thing number 4 is if none of that seems like it's helping, you try to find a good coach. It should be like your last resort.
The internet makes you see people who are legitimate prodigies. You watch Punk, and within 10 minutes, he's legend with your main, and he's not even doing...
It's actually very funny because it came up in coaching. I coached someone this week in Dragon Ball Fighters, right? A game I've not competed in since 2021. One of the first things we talked about was this person was worried. One of my big worries is that I might have capped its skill because I hear stories of players like Wawa and Sonic playing when they're in like middle school or high school and cooking people. And I was like, don't worry about that. You're not them. We're not gonna, that shouldn't even be in your head. We're gonna just focus on you today. When I was starting, since there wasn't like a lot, it basically was like no streams besides like fucking MLG. Oh my God. All you would do is hear about people. This is especially from like my Melee days, when people were like, you never know, there'd be somebody who's crazy that no one knows about, like someone who just grinds the game alone. You don't know that. Like at that time, I was so sure that thing is so fucking rare. While I'm playing Melee, that thing happened in Guilty Gear. That happened in Guilty Gear XX actually. There's a guy who's that guy, and even that guy, this person, he plays Testament. It is a player named Shonen. And the story of this player is apparently... Also, by the way, Woshika actually low-key has the same story as this guy, but not the exact same. Shonen is from like an island, and there's an arcade on his island, so he plays at the arcade. We're talking about the past, right? We're talking about like 2003, 2004, 2000. The way that they hear about him is he makes a combo video, and he's like, I'm making 2 or 3 combo videos. And the first combo video is like, people don't really give a fuck. Like the combo video gets posted and they're like, all right, whatever. Apparently, the second combo video is so fucking insane, like so full of shit that people haven't seen before, that people are like, dude, what the fuck, like how? Then he goes and plays people, and Testament is rated pretty bad in that version, and he cooks people with Testament, and they're like, what the fuck, like how did you get like this with no one to play, basically? Because even though they have arcades, it's who's going to your arcade, right? Because there's no online. Fast forward a little bit to Accent Core, and he's like one of the top players in the country because they fucking he's good, and they buff Testament on top of that. So like he just cooks people. He's also a good BB player for like the first spin till like CS Extend. Then he got married, and then he stopped playing fighting games. And then he tweeted a couple of times after that, and that was it. I feel like when people talk about that, somebody out of nowhere, from the middle of nowhere, they're like, you know, like a M2K type. Like, they're just in their room, just grinding nonstop alone. And even then, that's not that true, right? Low-key a tangent, but...
He is a professional, where it's his job to play the game. That's all he does, and he's a savant and like a generational talent in the game. You and him are not the same. You're different people. More normal to be the person who's like, I'm just playing on the weekend, having fun, and I'm going to play Zangief for a bit, have my matches in gold, and just chill. Then be Punk.
If you think about it too, by the way, he said in gold. If you think about it, the person who's haha funny in gold and platinum, I'm not going to flame you. Because we can't play, so I'm not going to flame you. I'm going to flame the pot that's here. I'm going to flame this guy.
If he wins, he gets like +2 MR. If he loses, it's -16 or whatever. Fighting for his life to get legend, and he's probably pissed. And then you're just like, yo, I hit Zangief's level 3 again. This quote, the ability to play chess is the sign of a gentleman. The ability to play chess well is the sign of a wasted life. But when you start to be Punk, people think you're a fucking dweeb. I don't think that's true. I think being fucking awesome at stuff is so cool and should be celebrated.
If someone is like really sweaty at something, anything, I would literally just sit there and listen. I'd be pretty engaged too, because it's interesting. Like the shit that people do and their insights on stuff. If they're truly like really, really deep into something and either just really knowledgeable or like a true like 1% or something, I'm I'm all ears. To me, that's very interesting.
True investment in the genre can produce, right? And like what the human is capable of if they put their time, energy, effort into something like this, right? That's what I think is fascinating. A lot of people in the modern era who are like really insanely good at stuff have the ability to explore that because they come from like a background that gave them time and energy and effort and money to like invest themselves in something without fear of like, if I don't go to the coal mines, I'm not going to be able to afford money for winter.
Not everybody, but a lot of the people who are playing now, who are like full-time players now, they were full-time players in the past, probably sacrificing something to do it before they got to do stuff full-time. You know what I mean?
And people do it even while being full-time employed or like having other obligations and hobbies and stuff. But you know,
Been there, 9 to 5.
that is
9
where
to
like
5
a lot of young
bros.
prodigies, and I got put on this earth. And all I did was get really, really good at League of Legends. I could have been a brain surgeon or cured cancer. So, you know, people think like that.
I was thinking about this really recently. I remember seeing a tweet. It was like a super viral tweet. It was from a lady, and she was like top 1% in whatever game, top 1% in aim labs. Like, what the fuck did guys used to do before there was ranked? One of the top replies was a tweet about like some scientists studying something about like cells and stuff. They're like, yeah, the people like there would be something. The tweet came back in my head because yesterday I watched a video about there's a Japanese scientist who discovered that birds talk to each other. Like they have a language with grammar, and it took him like 20 years of experiments, and the conclusion is birds have a language. They speak. And I was like, in another timeline, this dude is broken at like Age of Empires 2 or something. He just happened to look out the window and see a bird he thought was cool instead of going to like a PC store or something. If he went to the game store that day instead of fucking seeing a bird, some bird he thought was interesting, that dude is like a sieve sweat. I sort of had the thought of like people who dig into things really deep and focus on one thing. They probably could have done that for a lot of stuff. They just happened to find that thing. I got a comment a lot about the trash talk I did with Brian F, where I mentioned like my first gaming tournament, like video game tournament. I went for 2 games, not 1 game. I went for Melee, which people know. But I also entered Halo 2, but 2 people on the team didn't show up, so I didn't play. And Halo, by the way, Halo was supposed to be first. It was supposed to be Halo and then Melee. So he was like, damn, what happened to those guys showed up? I went, I don't know. Because after that day, I never played Halo again. No, I did not play Halo 3. After that fucking tournament, I never booted up Halo again. I canceled my Xbox Live subscription. What if those guys showed up? I don't know.
Street Fighter as a professional and going to big tournaments all year and not winning one. And you're like, this is my job, and I went all year to tournaments and I just never won.
By the way, that's me, Dragon Ball Year 1. Dragon Ball Year 1, I was like, Dragon Ball Year 1, I remember that finals. I was eating and I was like, damn, I fucking wasted the year and my team hates me and we're gonna have this contract talk and they're gonna just fucking fire me. And then I actually went and looked back at the results. They were okay. They actually weren't bad, but I felt like in hindsight, I think there was more pressure because that's the first time I was like truly competing for somebody. When I say for somebody, representing somebody. So I was like, we're cooked.
You know, people who like obsessively train for the Olympics become like Olympic medalists, and then there's like no future. You are able to compete in maybe 2 or 3 games, and then it's
that shit is crazy. Okay, so this is another shit that I've seen. That shit is crazy. Dude, this guy made a really good video about it too, about like people in Olympics starting OnlyFans when they don't fucking get medals. And then also different countries pay you differently for your performance at the Olympics. So there's some countries where you get a fucking bag for getting like a silver or gold medal, and then there's other countries where you don't get shit. You literally don't get shit. That's a whole other rabbit hole. If you're interested in that, that's a whole rabbit hole you can go down.
If you go to college, you become a collegiate champion. You're an incredible wrestler. There's only 2 paths to make money or like to continue the sport afterwards, which is mixed martial arts, becoming an MMA fighter, or the
not
Olympics.
bad,
or I guess the WWE. Sure, yeah, that's also a third one.
All good options. I don't think any of those options are bad though. Honestly, the worst is the Olympics, no? Okay, I used to play saxophone. I played sax for like probably like 12 years or so. Remember I was like the toxic thing, family instills in you. Remember that joke, right? So I love my family, obviously. I'm here because of them. They did raise me with the best intention in mind, right? But I think it's a really good example. I was playing video games. I was playing Melee, but obviously I played sax longer than I played Melee. I would say I would give myself like a B plus. In high school, I got into an audition-only the jazz band, which I had to audition into, and same in college. And also, some schools that focus on music, they partner with Disney, and they have like you have to like qualify, you have to be like good enough. You have to like submit a tape of like a concert or whatever that you do, and if they approve it, then you're like a Disney approved music program, and you can go to Disney and do like workshops and go to the park, obviously, and then you can go backstage. And hang out with the talent, right? So I got in that, and I got in my college jazz band also. And with the college jazz band, we did like a couple of like public shows at like the city park. So despite playing, we're not being entitled, but despite playing for 12, 13 years, I never owned a saxophone. I remember when I got to college specifically, the director was mindfucked because I was like, bro, I was like, yeah, I played sax for 10 years. He was, that's sick. Do you have a sax? I'm like, no. And he's like, have you been like trained by somebody? I'm like, no. And he was like, how the fuck are you this good? And I was like, I just played it. I learned how to read music at school, and I just played what they put in front of me. And then when the conductor goes, do this instead of that, I just listened. Really early on, I got a comment from a family member that I was playing too much. I was playing the sax too much. Because also I was banned from playing video games on weekdays. I was a little shithead, so I found ways around that. At times where I couldn't find a way around it, I was like, well, I have nothing else to do, so I'm just gonna fucking play sax. At some point, they're like, you're playing this shit too much. What the fuck are you doing? You should be studying. Summer meant that I had to return to sax because it's school sax, which means I didn't play over summer. So I would always stop for like 2-3 months, and that would get me to like play less. The going to Disney thing was a weird thing because originally there was two pieces of pushback, which was one, which was like, we don't want you to fucking go to Florida. Okay. And then two, it was low key like introduce you to a career, a slightly unusual career. And as many of my first generation immigrant people who are watching this will know, that type of stuff is not an option when you're growing up. So my paths was become a pro MLG, which I didn't do. And then MLG something, I forget what the fuck. Oh, Brawl came out. That's what happened. Then for music, I was like, I don't even own the instrument. So how the fuck am I going to do something with this thing? And there we go. There's another timeline that's potentially gone. Fucking Brawl is the reason for everything, truthfully. The reason why nothing happens is because of Brawl.
Grinding mastery demands a lot of sacrifice. But, I think it's important to recognize why you're invested in something and like what you care about. There was a guy who went to the TFT Open, by the way, who wore a hoodie that was looking for a TFT girlfriend was his hoodie. It was really popular on social media. People were laughing at it. They thought it was like a good gag. Maybe you get into a hobby because you want to go outside and meet people. You know how often people are like, I'm going to get into fishing.
Can I tell you how shocked I was when I'll actually never forget this. And this is early in my playing fighting games. So I'm definitely meaner. Definitely a lot meaner than I am now. I'm mean right now, but I was fucking mean. And someone did some shit where I was like, dude, why the fuck would you do that? How many times are you gonna get hit for doing this shit? Like, it's, I mean, honestly, if you're watching All Characters of Vanquisher, you're seeing this every day. This person is sitting next to me, and they're like, I don't even take this game that seriously. I'm just here to meet people. I'm just here to meet people and like hang out. And I was like, you went to a tournament to hang out? Like, what do you mean? The point of the tournament is the tournament. Another example is I remember the first year Evo had an artist alley, and I was like, why the fuck do they have an artist alley at Evo? What the fuck is the point of that? Because I'm like, it's a tournament. But as time has gone on, it took me forever to learn this, and truthfully, doing content really opened the floodgates for this. What happens when you're like super, super, super sweaty only, and you surround yourself with these hyper competitive people also? I mean, I'm saying hyper competitive, but there's even in that group, there's different degrees of how far people want. There's such a small group. Even if you go to tournaments, if you go to locals, the person who's willing to go to the local is such a small percentage of people who buy and engage with the game. People who buy the game, people who play the game one time, people who type something on Reddit saying, look at this meme, people who draw a character they like. There's so many people. Like when you start from competition only, you just like are like this, because like from your perspective, this is how I thought too. Really early, I got really bad advice in Melee really early. I don't know how people talk about the game now. Honestly, probably more scientifically, but like I just got really annoyed at how many people would constantly be like, "You don't use enough mind games. You gotta freestyle that. You got da da da." It's just never satisfying. And when I switched to Marth, one of the things I said was like, anybody who says like one of these 4 phrases, nah, their opinion doesn't count. And I followed that rule until year 2 of DBFZ. So from probably like 13 or 14 years, I follow this rule, which means I'm ignoring on purpose, honestly, like 90% of people who I play with, let alone like people who fucking engage with the whole game. So especially today, if someone's like, I'm gonna get into this thing to meet people, that is a very good thing, actually. I've kind of like flipped on that pretty hard compared to the past.
I want to go outside and meet other people. Perfectly reasonable thing that people do, right? That's how people.
And I've done that too. I've actually, there's a couple of things where I did it because I'm like, yeah, I just want to fucking go outside.
Does this mean that I'm a gentleman? Yes. If you can play fighting games, that makes you a gentleman. But if you are fuzzy guarding my overhead low mix up and then perfect pairing the mid on reaction,
Harry, fine.
You might have wasted your life.
Parry fine.
Just saying, if you even know what fuzzy guarding means, maybe you wasted your life. You ever think about that?
I was having enough fun playing online alone, but going to locals for the first time was like, locals is so fire. Locals is so fire. If you are lucky enough to have one, or if you think you can start one, it's so good. Especially if you don't have other shit going on. It's so good. Okay, let me stop waffling. That was a good video, actually. That was unexpectedly good. I thought it was gonna be fine. You know, usually I think Sagem and I are kind of aligned on stuff. We're not like we're like 90%, but I want to say we're like 78% to 84% in the same lane, kind of. But you know, that brought up some interesting memories.